Tonight's episode, as you guys may have seen from the title, is not going to be one that gets me a lot of positive affirmation. I'm going to be going against the system tonight. I'm going to be challenging infrastructure. I'm going to be challenging ways of doing things that most people are used to being kind of the only way to win, the only path to success. It's a scary world out there, honestly. And the way that business functions is corrupted. It's wrong. It's too difficult for somebody trying to start out to get off the ground. If you're waiting for a bank loan, if you're trying to build up business credit, if you're trying to just save a few dollars and get somewhat decent interest rates to keep money in the bank, even for an extended period of time, to save up to make a website or start an LLC or get your side hustle into an actual company, you kind of already failed nowadays because you start from a disadvantage. It sounds harsh, I know, but it's 100% true. I'm going to show you exactly how banks work. We're going to talk about the problems, the corruption, the challenges most beginners face, and more importantly, what we're going to do about it. Banks don't fund vision. Banks don't fund innovation. In fact, they actually used to. When you went to your local bank, you had a relationship with the owner of the bank, maybe some of the managers at that bank. You could take them out to lunch. You could build a relationship. I know a lot of guys that are in real estate that have personal connections with very small local banks. They can't do that with Chase, Wells Fargo. It just doesn't work like that when you have corporate policy governing activity, and relationships seem to matter less and less. Banks don't fund entrepreneurs. They don't. They fund safety. They fund certainty, especially in a market that's bearish and where everyone's losing. They fund predictable returns only. And in the market that's so competitive nowadays, of course they won't fund you. You were never dealt the winning hand of cards. And that's why banks will never, and I mean never, fund the next 1,000 startups, especially for people like you. You're destined to fail. And I think deep down that you know it. I think you know that you don't have a shot at succeeding, not in the current way things are done. So all you're left to do is try to scrape by editing a few videos or trying to run some ads for a small company and maybe, just maybe, make a few extra bucks to keep yourself motivated and to call yourself an entrepreneur. When there's people online on your phone in the market that are winning, and they're probably 18 years old. They have connections, they have good network and relationships with the 1%, and therefore they always had an advantage from the start. I'm going to show you guys in this podcast how we're going to fix that, because everyone's waiting for someone to start the revolution. I'm the one standing up to do it. I'm going to break this down today. I'm going to show you guys why banks are designed actually to keep you out, why it's not a mistake and it's done on purpose, and what's replacing even them right now. Because if you're still waiting for traditional finance to take you seriously, if you're still swiping at Costco to write off business expenses, to build up business credit like I had to do, and hope the bank likes you enough to give you access to larger credit amounts, you're going to be waiting your entire life. And you're going to be wondering, why is it so hard to start a business? So this brings us to Act 1 of tonight's podcast. Why don't banks fund startups anymore? What is the issue preventing you from having a good relationship, getting access to resources that you need to succeed? And why are you left basically to fend for yourself? I want to start with the reality. Banks are gatekeepers. They are. They limit your access to resources, and you have to appeal to the interests of that bank through commonly credit scores, sometimes social security checks, sometimes even background checks, to get the bank to like you enough to hopefully give you some money. And yes, I know that everything I'm saying tonight is likely going to make me less favorable to the bank. That's the reality though. And I don't stand for sucking up. I don't believe in being a bitch to the system. I believe in calling things the way they are and standing up for what I believe is the right way to do it. Banks exist really to protect themselves. They're selfish, they're greedy, and they don't empower you. Their job is not to take risks. Their job is analytically, right, to find the best deals and the safest places to put their money where they can guarantee a return. Their job is, to avoid risk. You walk into a bank with your idea. You got a business plan, maybe you got a prototype, maybe you even have some early users on a website, and you want to grow it. You're fired up. You're thinking, if they just give me a shot, I can turn this into a big thing. Maybe you haven't even done that. Maybe you've just looked at borrowing money from a friend. You got to do the same thing. The bank doesn't care about your vision most of the time. They don't care about your customers unless you have millions to play with. They don't care about how the world would change if you succeeded at this idea. Because why should they trust you? You're new. You haven't done anything yet. And it's the same as the job application crisis we're facing today. Employers require 3 years of experience, but nobody's hiring. So where do you get experience from to work at companies? If everybody's so stingy on keeping their doors shut to allow experience for students, novice workers, how are they going to build the capacity and the skills that are credible to transfer into an application and get hired full time? The bank doesn't care. They really don't. They just don't care about your customers. They don't, again, they care about one thing, and that's guarantees. Do you have collateral? Can you put your own money on the table too? No? Well, do you have a 750 plus credit score with on-time payments and being the goodest boy you can to the banking system? No? Well, goodbye. Sorry that you had medical bills, or sorry that your car was hit by someone else that didn't have insurance and you had to pay for it. Or sorry that grocery bills are running all-time highs. The market is putting you at a huge deficit where you can't exist without putting things on a credit card, and you have issues paying them back because banks are turning into loan sharks. Sorry about that. You didn't have a perfect credit score, so we're not going to fund your business. It's your fault, really. Why did you be so stupid with your money? Do you have a steady W-2 income, or, have you have a history of providing huge returns in the past 2 years? No? Well, goodbye as well. Banks are obsessed with past performance. So are employers, and not your future potential. Who gives a shit what you've done in the past? Half of us have done terrible things in terms of financial decisions. Gambling, some of us just throw money into the stock market having no idea what stocks we're picking accurately. I've failed at multiple businesses before I eventually figured out how to get successful and how to guarantee my own success. You don't learn without making mistakes. And the entire point of a startup is that it's unproven, it's risky, and that it's honestly disruptive. It's not supposed to follow the same path other businesses in the industry have, or it wouldn't be a disruptive business that people would pay attention to. So banks don't even care. Some venture capital firms might, but it means by design, banks will never support it. They're never going to be on your side, and you'll never have the advantage walking in the door. You have an uphill battle, even if you have the best idea in the world. Let me be clear, a bug in their system. This is the system. There's nothing broken about this, which is honestly kind of the worst part. It's not like something we can go and fix and have a perfect life. It's actually set up to be this way. Banks are gatekeepers built to keep you out, unless you already look like you don't need the money. It's a backwards system. You're playing it backwards. And you want to know the dirty little secret? Banks only lend to people who already don't need them. If you're already rich, you can get low interest loans by leveraging your stock. The banks will just throw money at you because they know you're Mr. High Achiever. And a lot of times, that's what keeps it dynastic. Your family was successful, so they know your family, your parents can bail you out if your business loan fails. They're going to give you the money. They give the winners more money. Sure, that makes sense in capitalism, but how does that help anyone try to get a start and try to build something for themselves in their life if they honestly have good intentions? If you already have assets, if you don't have a track record, if you do have a track record, they will give you a loan. But if you're already in the trenches, right? If you're early stage, if you're hungry, you're invisible. It doesn't matter how much you want it. This brings us to Act 2, the human cost in the banking system. Most of you don't think about this. I've been there. The reason I'm here tonight, the reason I'm talking to you, the reason I started Altura, which is obviously attached to this episode, most of Altura, you guys are here watching this. Shout out to my community. I'm proud of you guys for tuning into this podcast. It's one of the first of many educational episodes. I've obviously been running this podcast for a long time, but I'm starting to tailor these episodes to my personal community, and I'd love for you guys to be a part of it. But I want to tell you guys, if you haven't heard this story yet, I've been there. You might have been too. The only way I could start my coaching business and actually grow on social media was through advertising. I had to put $8,000 on a business credit card, and I had no money to pay that off. I had to literally risk everything to start my business. Because if I didn't make sales on that business, I wouldn't have been able to pay that interest off. It would have just compounded and I would have been stuck in a debt trap. I might have even gone bankrupt, been too out of control if I didn't start making clients out of thin air. Maybe that motivated me into doing it, but I shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to put yourself in an immediate deficit. You shouldn't have to go to college and be $80,000 in the hole and feel like you're indebted to a company. But you don't have a choice. You can't walk away and live your life. You have to stay there for 20 years and work up the chain before you have enough to pay off your debts. Maybe by that point, you'll have a house. You'll be stuck in that debt, cars, children, families. I've been there, sitting across from someone in a suit, right, on a call, trying to explain to them why your idea matters. All they see is you're young, you're inexperienced, you might just even be a kid still. They want to know why you're different. They want to know why they should give a shit about you. I could throw the fact that I went to one of the most prestigious universities in the country in there with insane credibility. I shook the vice president's hand when I graduated, that type of institution. Why that's different, why that might help me. But most of you guys don't even have that. And I was still at a disadvantage. And they nod politely. They maybe even smile. They say, that's a cute idea. And then they give you the same scripted answer. Unfortunately, you don't meet our requirements for lending. Thank you for your time. Check back with us soon. And it crushes you. Not because you actually expected them to see your vision, to believe in your confidence, your desire to make it happen, and to see the fire in your eyes, that young kid's eyes, might even be you right now, wanting to get into an industry, wanting to start an idea that you were told the American dream could provide to you by putting energy and effort into something you actually cared about. And that flame gets extinguished. It gets put out by somebody that says, no, you didn't make $1 million before you came and talked to me? Well, fuck you then. How is that fair? How does that help people that are young with visions, and not only help people that are 65 years old and gone through the entire phases of life? That doesn't motivate people to bring change. It doesn't motivate people. It crushes you, because part of you, right, even as you kind of knew it was unlikely, you kind of knew you were fighting that uphill battle. You knew it was hard. You knew you probably would have an issue getting funding, maybe trying to convince people to join your movement, right? Whatever it's going to be on that first business idea you have. And part of you still actually believed inside, maybe right now, that it would work. There's a good chance I get shot in the face. I get said, F you, I don't want to talk to you. This is a stupid idea. But there's that child, that little inner voice that has the energy, the motivation, the dream. This is the cycle, essentially, that just kills so many entrepreneurs before they ever start. It's a huge reason I started Altura, because it pisses me off. It's not that they didn't have the drive. In fact, I would argue most of you guys watching this have more ambition than the 55-year-old man that has low fucking testosterone, has a wife and kids, sure knows what he's doing, but you guys can find a mentor like that. Altura is your network of mentors. Like, you can find somebody that has the knowledge, but you have the drive that they don't have. And so why is the bank saying, oh, you have a good track record, even though 3 of your kids are finishing high school or whatever the fuck it is, you can have the money, instead of this kid that has nothing to do but work on this company with all that they have? And think about what that means at scale for a second. How many businesses that you guys watching had? How many of those ideas never happened? Because how many life-changing ideas were left on the desk, never left someone's notebook because a bank stamped fucking denied across the front page? That's why I say that banks are just bad at funding startups. They're fundamentally hostile at the very concept of entrepreneurship. Real estate, fine, right? Everyone's buying a house, it's everywhere. A new business, sure, it's risky, sure it is. But if you can tell somebody actually wants to do it, even if you're gonna charge them a higher interest rate, whatever the hell it's gonna be, at least give them a shot. It's almost like banks are stubborn, right? They were never designed to take a chance on someone like you. This brings me to Act 3 of this podcast. Why is the old system collapsing? Banks are dinosaurs. They move slow, they protect themselves, and they punish anybody who doesn't fit into their boxed in, narrow definition of safe, whatever the hell that means. But look around now. The world doesn't play on safety anymore. NFTs, crypto, how much of that is proven safe, reliable? And how many Fortune 500 companies, investment trusts? We just passed a Ethereum ETF, and we have a Bitcoin ETF. Those aren't guaranteed by the general market as safe yet, but we have institutions taking risks on those. But they won't take a risk on you. They think Ethereum is more stable than you. You see how much the price of that crypto moves around. And I believe in that crypto for sure. They see the long-term potential of that, but to somebody explaining their idea in full depth to them, somebody that has a broad vision like you, no. They'd rather trust numbers on a screen. That's why banks are dying for entrepreneurs. They'll keep existing, sure. They'll keep funding mortgages and safe businesses, but they're not gonna fund the next 1,000 startups, because the next 1,000 startups aren't going to come from boardroom. It's the institutions that are traditional that are the least innovative, which is why most of those tall skyscraper office buildings are dying out. They're going to come from people like you, the flat organization structure where there's no massive chain of command, where everyone can innovate, think freely, and find the most productive ways to get things done. People that don't fit their mold. And that's why we're building something new, something that can give those people a chance. Act 4, the solution. This is exactly why Altura exists, because we're not a bank at all. We don't work like that. We're not a gatekeeper. We're not here to deny you because of a fucking credit score, a made up number that changes whether or not you woke up on the left or right side of the bed. And it seems like it's kind of just randomly drawn and not accurately information provided, tracking, right? However you say it. It's not perfect because you don't have $1 million in the bank. Altura is different because we're a syndicate. If you don't know what that means, I would very, very much so encourage you to look up the term syndicate. It's a private group. It's a organization of individuals who care about a particular purpose and work in a mission to get it done. It's a protocol, a way of doing things that challenges the norm, because we're our own protocol. We don't exist in the fundamental type of structure that most investment firms, startup, venture capitalists, enterprises function. We're a community. At a heart, the key term is community. Build for you. What are you? You're an entrepreneur. By entrepreneurs, by myself, by many other people that all have coaching businesses, communities, courses, podcasts like this, services to offer. Things that we built from the ground up without, and sometimes in my case, even having to go through that traditional structure, which is why I know how so damn painful it is to get your foot off the ground. I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't be on this podcast if I didn't have a job in the military that could pay for this when I got started, that could keep the lights on long enough for me to take the risk and hope I could pay it off. Some of you are just trying to get your bills paid. So where's that money, that extra money gonna come from when the market's tight? It's gonna come from Altura because a bank won't give a shit. Here's how it works. Every token, every passport that is technically an NFT, right? But one of those like cards that you can purchase. It's an access pass. It's like a concert ticket, or it's like a membership key that is verified on your crypto wallet. So in real time, we know exactly who's a member and who isn't. And you'll stay in the community as long as you own one of our passports that we're putting out soon. It's not just a digital picture like an NFT, right? It's not a Bored Ape. It's a passport. The passport gives you access into our community, which has over $1 million in funding. We're gonna dish it out appropriately. So let's say you meet 3 other entrepreneurs in Altura, because this is gonna be the spot where we network in person, online. You could drive an hour away to your nearest major city. There's gonna be a meetup there, for instance. You meet 8 other entrepreneurs. They're your age. They have the same interests as you. They're not the people from your high school that didn't give a shit about what you're trying to achieve. 3 of these people are insanely talented and driven like you. They want to start a business in AI. Maybe an AI software that, I don't know, handles your business accounting. That's your business idea. You come to Altura, you get on our live stream and you say, hey guys, we're, the next TurboTax or whatever it's going to be, right? You pitch your idea, you explain how your business works, and Altura, the holders, everyone that has one of these passports, votes on whether or not your idea is valid or not. It's the community. It's not a single person at a bank. It's, does your movement actually create a movement? If it's yes, you get the funding. We'll send you the funding from our community wallet. We'll put our name on the operating agreement as holding a portion of that company for the investment, and we'll team up with you to make it happen. We give you the money. We're a silent partner, but obviously you get access to all of our community, our resources, our people, our meetups. We'll do progress checks on you. You can get anything you need to guarantee your success. It's not just stopping at the funding. You're getting the education, the people to even run your business. You can meet inside of our protocol. The NFT itself will gain value. You're getting the community funds. You don't need all the complex business structures and business Dun & Bradstreet credit scores. You just start, because honestly, that's what it should have been from the beginning. It gives you access to other founders. Altura connects you with people that think like you, which really can't be replaced. You can't teach somebody to think. People that move, that build exactly like you do. It gives you access to the education that we're going to put out, partnerships, and a network designed to accelerate your success. Banks say no. They're going to. That's what they're used to doing. But we don't function on what people used to do. We function on what's going to win in the future. And therefore, Altura is going to say yes, because you're a member. You've proven your investment. And most likely, as long as it's a good idea, the community is going to come right back and want to work with you. Banks look backward. Altura only really looks forward, because I will admit that I've made mistakes. I've lost, in ventures that I've started that shouldn't have an impact on your ability to succeed from this point forward, especially if you have the resources, the mentors, and everything you need to guarantee you win. If banks weren't, if they were the system for the last 100 years, we're going to be the system for the next 100 after. We're going to be the generational legacy, private organization, secret society almost. Then you can tell your grandson, your child, whatever it's going to be, that you were a member of, and they'll know exactly what you're talking about. It'll be that notorious around the world. This brings us to Act 5, the vision for the future. Here's what I see. Within 5 years, my vision is that Altura will fund hundreds of businesses. I'd like to fund over 1,000, which is why I'm talking about this topic for the podcast. Within 20 years, I see it as being one of the largest venture capital networks on earth, started by and for the people, just like our great country could have been and still should be. And the best part is, every single person who held a passport, one of these tokens early on, can say, I was there. I was a founding father. I initiated the movement, and I helped build this so my grandson could take my membership token and pitch his idea and be successful. This is a generational move. This is a private network that will fund your children's businesses. Do you guys see what I'm saying? That's how we rewrite the rules. That's how we guarantee that entrepreneurs finally have a system that believes in them. And when I look at banks, right, I honestly just laugh. I know they don't even grasp the concepts we're talking about. They'll never touch the ideas that we're about to launch. And therefore, the businesses they fund are never going to perform to the standard of the businesses you guys are creating. That'll 100x 1000x in value. The next Amazon. It would have been too risky to get a bank loan for Amazon instead of insanely high interest. They'll never go back, and they never will back the founders that we're about to support. And that's exactly why Altura has no other option but to win. Banks will never bet on you, as we've talked about. My personal promise is, if you have a good idea, this is the spot. If you don't know how to do it, if there's a business idea you don't know how to start, you'll meet the people and you'll get the education inside that will teach you how to do it. If you need the money to go ahead and make the website, to set up the structure, to start marketing, that's where our community will chip in and we'll partner with you in business. If you're lacking the motivation, the network of people, the in-person meetups, the online events, the celebrity guest speakers we'll be having, we'll certainly make sure your flame is lit constantly, because we will only allow people that have the flame. And this will be something that changes lives. This will be the secret education that schools kept from you, that guarantees your success, especially with the curriculum that I will be developing for you guys. Altura is open. It's already started. The wait list is live. To get a premium price, if you join and start communicating and expanding our movement, you'll get access to a better deal on your token. You'll get access to more private groups inside already before we've ever started. And this is your chance to secure your passport before you can never afford it, before it hits CryptoPunk level value, 50 Ethereum minimum to get in, which is what they're selling for. A picture of a pixelated profile picture of a dude is selling for 50 Ethereum. You don't think that the value inside our community would sell for $200,000 as well? I would think again. This is your opportunity to buy it for $200. That's 1000x. On October 1st, the doors open. But honestly, the community is already open. We're already building, we're already chatting, we're already growing. The question is, are you going to be inside this time? Or are you going to look at Bitcoin, Ethereum in 2010 and say, that's a little too risky for me? Are you going to turn into the bank? Or are you going to beat them? Will you still be waiting for a system that was never built for you and cheering it on while all your friends and the people online win, knowing secrets and being part of movements like these that you were too scared to get into at a price that was easily affordable? Claim your spot. I'm extending my hand. This might be the only chance or time someone cares about you enough to do that. See it. See my background, my credibility in the military, my failures in business that I'm openly sharing with you, my series of podcast episodes, publicity, my government name tied to this, whatever you need. Because the future of entrepreneurship isn't at the bank. Credibility is built by relationships between human beings, always. So count on us, count on your colleagues that help support you to get you to the finish line, when an institution and a logo never will. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, please follow, please join the movement for free and start engaging. Do anything you can to help us grow, because this vision only exists if you make it exist. This is the manifestation practice in real life, in real time, and you get to be part of it. I'm Caleb Schulke, and I'll say it as I always do. I'm rooting for you. We'll be back Saturday with another episode. Have a good night.